5,
4,
3,
2,
1.
yay!
Hey! We're so sad out of it.
Here we go. Hello and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a podcast where we read about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we might include it in our role-playing campaigns. I can't say words.
You did it!
I did it. Yes. This week on the show, I am joined by Fiona. You might know her from such podcasts as this one and the What Am I Rolling podcast, which is a bi-monthly or twice a month podcast that plays other TTRPG systems. I've fallen off the cliff. Help me!
No, you got it right. Thank you so much, Hamilton. Thank you. How are you hosting this? Like, this is my show. No,
you did offer it to me, and
I did.
I felt much more comfortable doing it. No, I didn't.
No, you're doing great.
This week we're doing Hags and the Dark Sisterhood. I should turn my lights off, but I can't reach them.
No, I consider that as well, but then I don't know if you've had it with your internet or whenever your camera tries to find you, it struggles to find you, so then it's just like works overtime as a result.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Ugh.
I could do some editing. I could do some video editing where it just all goes a bit black. It's like all goes inverted.
Well, yeah. It's like every it's completely off topic, but every serial killer documentary is like everything was fine until they weren't, and then inverted colors, like
yes, or black and white, and the cam and it's like cut through the screen. Yeah,
the sort of Ken Burns, like
100%. Ah, good old Ken Burns. All he's remembered for is moving pictures. I'm sure he did good photos as well, I imagine. But
I imagine that. So yeah, but yes. So Hags then.
Right. This was your choice. So
it was. Yeah. I guess it says a lot about me as a person. So I don't know what your experience is with Hags, Hamilton. I don't have that much experience. Well, I wouldn't want to assume you know a real life hag.
I unfortunately haven't met any, even in my Glastonbury tour days. I don't think I met any. But...
My goodness, yes. So if our listeners listened to the last episode, obviously we discovered Hamilton's origins for getting into role playing games. But now that you've mentioned it, maybe it was a hag in disguise. But obviously we don't know, and that's me saying it, not Hamilton. So don't rain terror on Hamilton.
Please don't. Also, my grandma used to tell me a story about the tube. This is very weird, but like she used to say, like she freaked me out about the tube, and I really had like a fear of it. I didn't really realize why I had this sort of irrational fear of it. And then I like had this memory, and she used to like when I was a kid point at the tube station. She goes, "You don't go down there. It's dangerous. Bad people live down there who like turn you into a donkey like you saw on in Pinocchio." And I was like, "You what? Like seriously?" And I told my mum this. I sort of had this memory. It came back to me when I was living in London years ago, and I remembered it when I was like, she told me that, and I remember she used to tell me this all the time. And I told my mum, she went, "She did what?" And my grandma, unfortunately, it's not. I loved my grandma. She was amazing. Grandmothers will come up in this anyway, but she told me this story, and it fucking freaked me out. Like, seriously, you're gonna tell like that scene in Pinocchio is fucking scary.
Oh, it's terrifying. Absolutely, yeah. Where they all go to it's called like not not Boy Island, or it's like Party Island or something like that. All the boys get to do whatever they want, and randomly shoot guns. I seem to remember that bit, but and turning into donkeys.
Cigars, and then turning into donkeys.
That was it, and drinking and stuff.
Yeah, and that's just like that stuck with me for a while. So that's my only sort of close IRL hag-ish that I can say, because it sort of was that sort of like
folklore where it's like, don't trust it, there are bad people down there.
Exactly.
So.
And by your old grandmother, that sort of fits with that sort of thing. I played against one in a D&D campaign that I was a player in, who my amazing DM, who was my first DM in my like new guise as playing D&D when I was older, who is Joe Creates. I'm just going to shout him out if that's okay. Joe Creates.
Yeah, go for it.
He doesn't even shout. He's got 20,000 followers. He makes video games, and he's an amazing DM because he makes video games. And he made this incredible circus where the circus owner had made a deal with a hag to sort of help make the circus be more magical and have be more fortunate, like make more money and all that sort of stuff. In turn, stealing children and putting them in boxes and giving them to the hag.
Ye old hag for his payment. Yes, indeed. Yeah, a similar thing. I didn't really realize. I was a bit. I assume I've not met any in real life hags. Please write to me if you have. No, I don't want to say that. But please don't, because that will terrify me. But I think again, I vaguely remember playing in games and a hag has popped up, but actually reading about them and this, like you said, this dark sisterhood. Yeah. There's a lot to them, and I'm actually, when I was reading through it, I was like, I'm surprised that they're not more used or just more prevalent, because they do appear like certainly like in Critical Role they had sort of almost like a Baba Yaga type thing for one of the stories and stuff, but they are terrifying. And we're just gonna dive right in and have a look at it. So you kind of picked up little bits about it already. So like hags are essentially sort of crones, and they like corrupting to the ideals of good and not good and evil, so just good. And they are just, and it just, there's this great line, it just says they are inhuman monsters, they're twisted by evil. There's no redeeming features about a hag, and they have this great sort of like you sort of said, like a hierarchy thing. So the oldest and wisest and probably most evil ones are the grandmothers. So that idea of like grandmother Nightshade and all that sort of thing comes across. But then lesser down the order, or sort of less powerful hags are known as aunties, which again, for me, not saying that my aunties were hags or anything like that, but there is that sort of
I had one.
Maybe it's like a trope or something. Like when you read books, there's always like an auntie who is like a bit much, I guess, or a bit sort of like, and they're like, oh no, not Auntie Susanna. That's
exactly No, I totally agree, and it's so based on those. I don't want to get too philosophical. That Jungian tropes, isn't it? Of the sort of those. What they called folk stories of the old lady in the woods who, Hansel and Gretel, and and all the and obviously the sort of the witch in
like Wizard of Oz and stuff like that. So they are essentially magical witches, but are perceived to be much older. There's a great paragraph again. So most of the hag stuff we're going to be talking about today comes from Volo's Guide to Monsters. There are bits and other pieces, obviously, in the Monsters manual and stuff like that. But in Volo's, it talks about this idea that they are sort of ugly, unpredictable, and old. That is like the three. Again, the rule of three, which we keep coming back to. I think it's just a thing with you and me, Hamilton. We're like, the rule of three.
I'm going to keep with this.
I'm going to keep with this. But so that's the idea that they're older, and they're not part of. There's this thing about that's what I was going to talk about. Sorry, in the Volo's Guide, they talk about obviously the Feywild, and there's obviously the sealing and unsealing court, and how both these courts, and I've spoke about it on another episode that. For us, recording just now came out today. We talked about it with Darren Kenny. This idea that the sealing court and unsealing court, they're not good or bad. They're just very different in their views and stuff. So you have Titania, who's the queen of the summer court, and then the queen of darkness and air of the winter court, I think it is. But hags don't belong to either of them. because, and I love this, neither court likes them because they're a bit of a stain, because they have this idea that for a hag, being ugly is beautiful, and vice versa. Whereas the Feywild is obviously all about beauty and nature and like that sort of almost preening quality. So I just love the idea that hags aren't a part of either court because they don't see eye to eye on this one thing.
Exactly, yeah. No, and yeah, exactly. They revel in having a hideous appearance, isn't it? It's that sort of, but they'll pick at sores and
they
like...
deliberately pick at sores or grow warts and like have hairs on their chin because that makes they think that is the epitome of beauty, which is just, again, I guess because we're surrounded by media, it's always, for us currently in this climate, like thin people are beautiful, people with paler skin, all that sort of thing. Whereas these are deliberately the complete opposite, like crooked noses, extra warts, and the picking at sores was a bit.
You just saw it, and it's that spots and all those sort of like grimy. But it really that belief is really fundamental to their whole attitude to good, as well, as you were saying, because it's like they want to just be the most ugly because that is just, they find that just so a way to be like to sort of go against what humanity the humans around them are trying to perceive, just because they want to push their buttons as much as possible in some respects, and they want to sort of get I think they want to put everyone, they just like to be like evilly chaotic, don't they, in some respects?
It's exactly that. It's that sort of like they love bringing those of good of heart and nobleness down, because again, is that sort of, and as we'll go on to, this idea that people come to them for help, as you were sort of saying, and they're like, oh, well, we will help you, but it's not in the way you think. Very much like when I was reading through this, very much if anyone's Monkey's Paw is the fairy tale, but obviously the Simpsons did something similar where you be careful what you wish for, because it's not what you get. The other thing that when we'll talk about it as well, about the bargains they make and stuff, very much like Needful Things, the Stephen King novel, where you're like, I have exactly what you want, but just do something else for me. Just go and egg the neighbour's yard as a little prank, and then it escalates till people are murdering each other and stuff like that. And this person's just feeding off this tension and energy and stuff, which is.
What's that German word? That sort of reveling in the pain of others. And
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. They are like ultimate Schadenfreude, but it's that you can see they're just like they're the sort of trickster, but they sort of revel. They just find that sort of love in just turning the good evil. That sort of like just destroying what is good, which is quite. There's something, I think. There's something quite dark. It's something super bad, evil about that. But it is something that you can see in some people, and you can see that sort of like the seed of something. Someone takes and then this is definitely turned up to 11. That they will deliberately go about their way to undermine and destroy something because that's what they enjoy. But like you said, so obviously fairy tales of like you must stay away from people because they'll just take children away for various reasons, but it's because they can shape change. They most of them can change into the appearance of comely older women who are just like, oh, have some food, my dear, oh, come help me with this. And then there's tales of like them encouraging children to act out to the point where they are and then they are either exiled from their village, or they're like, we don't know what to do. The kid has been manipulated, and that's the idea. They always manipulate people's good intentions and stuff, which I really, again, it's a very, how can I put it? It's, again, we've all had a person in our lives who if it's a relative or an older relative who insists on something, but they do it in a way which is very sweetly, like, again, if we take an example of a grandmother, and it's like, oh dearie, oh you don't, oh have you put on weight, that sort of thing. It's that,
and it's just it is that
just
sort of like
get into your psyche and really screw
I think Bridget Jones calls it the jellyfish compliment, where it's sort of like the backhand, and I just like that idea that this is what one way of playing Hags could be. It is that sort of like the little insults and digs that just eat away at someone. It's just
I'm now
it's great.
Of what's the name from Pride and Prejudice? Oh jeez. Oh, her condescension is so. Oh, are you a Pride and Prejudice?
It's
Catherine de Bourgh, Lady
Yes,
Catherine de Bourgh. That's
Berg, yes.
Yeah, that sort of like just sort of says these things that are just so mean to. Sorry, that just remind me of that.
No, but it's true, right? And this is the thing about it. You see it everywhere in little bits of inspiration. You're like, oh yeah, this comes from this and that. So could you imagine, for example, like a Pride and Prejudice version, but there are hags in society, and they have a hag ball, all that sort of thing. That'd be, hey, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Elizabeth goes to a hag to try and get, or Darcy does, or something like that. I can see that.
Oh, that'd be good. But yeah, just to go back to you're talking about so this idea of bargains, and then people going in. So we've had bargains before, obviously people can make bargains with devils, but hags are slightly different. Whereas devils are more willing to go to people and make the bargains then and there. Hags bide their time, which for me makes it so much more evil. They'll wait and they will just, if they like bringing the mortal low for as long as possible to fulfill their end of the bargain. And it could be anything. They talked about in the book. They talked about a woman, a husband and their partner is playing away from home. So going to the hag saying, "Can you help me?" And of course I can. Bringing the partner back or enchanting them in some way so that they always stay at home. To the point that they become sort of sloth-like and obviously unappealing and stuff like that. But they're always at home.
Exactly.
And love that as a thing.
I love that distinction as well with the devils. Is that the devil is? I mean, if you the devils have also they're in this battle and they also want to be going up the ladder and they've got different reasons for making these bargains because they want to gain more souls to gain more power. They're just doing this for their own enjoyment. There's actually there's nothing more. There's no morality to it in a sense. They're not doing it for any greater power. Not that a devil's ideas are good. At least there's some sort of there's a reason behind it. But theirs is sort of just purely for their own pleasure.
Which is worse, so much worse.
That sort of line from The Dark Knight that was on our show the other week. Some men just like to watch the world burn. That sort of the Joker character.
No, I definitely see that, and actually thinking about so when a bargain does go wrong for the mortal, and other mortals see it. The hag isn't worried per se. They'll just wait, and eventually more mortals will come, more customers, as it says in the book, will come because people go, well, that person was clearly stupid. I can have a go at that, and I just love that. I love that the confidence of be like, oh, it didn't, you are humiliated in front of everyone, and you all know who it is, but that fear of grandmother in the woods, and you don't. And it again later on, it talks about whole villages under this sort of spell of a hag, and they don't do anything because she helps with the harvest and stuff. We don't want to do anything about that. Like he was saying before about that idea of the carnival, it's going super successfully, but because we are giving payments, so why would we stop the payments? Because what will happen to us, we don't know.
If we break the bargain, what's going to happen to us? And there's that.
Love it.
Yeah, no, it's fun. And I don't know if you've played The Witcher. Have you played The Witcher 3? I don't know.
Oh, you see, now, I feel really bad. I should have played The Witcher. I've never got around to it. It's one of the. It's you know what? I know I would love it. I know I would love it. I've watched the TV show. Loved that. Although some of the time travel stuff, I didn't know where we were. But it's one of those things where I just need to sit down for a month and play it. But
but they have them in that, and they sort of deal with it. And there's one, and there's also I can't remember if it's a while since I played it as well. But there's one village where the ombudsman's lost an ear, and it's all a bit weird, and they're asking you to do this job, and you're not quite sure why. But they don't. But then when it comes down to it, he doesn't really want you to kill that. They don't want you to really get involved that much. They don't want you to destroy the hag-like creature because they've already made the pact. He's made the pact with it, and he's sort of, so he's kind of trying to do partly what he needs to do for the town, but hoping that you might not succeed, if you know what I mean.
I love that. Yeah, again, it's such a great story as well. You go to a village and everything is no, lovely to see you. Please, you gotta get out soon though. We had the harvest, and that's sort of fuck off. Very much like a Hot Fuzz scenario in a way. I was about
to say, it's making me think of Hot Fuzz exactly. That's sort of something going on, but we're all going to pretend it's fine. Yeah, exactly.
Imagine a Hot Fuzz, but it's actually hags, rather than. See, I think honestly, this is my case for having hags in everything.
Everything.
Why not? But let's quickly circle back around to, so yes, this idea of eating children is a big sort of thing that goes through it, because the way they gain more offspring is by eating a child and then in quotation marks birthing a daughter.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's like, yeah, I know, it's quite, and then, but they're a normal child until they hit 13 as well, so they birth a usual child that could, you know, as they said, they use humanoids in this as well for like infiltrating. Maybe it's like a powerful sorcerer or wizard or maybe druid might join them potentially in a coven, which we'll probably get onto later.
Yes.
But then with that, so that they can use those humans to manipulate other humans. So if you think about it, they got this little child, like basically that child vampire in Don't Let the Right One In.
Oh God! That's such a good film.
It is a great film, but they're not completely that evil, because it's kind of about them trying to make relationships. But you could see that sort of like you didn't know that child is a 1,000-year-old, vampire.
Like, I can't remember the name of the child she makes friends with, but he just treats her as a normal person because he's obviously very lonely and stuff. So having that idea of like introducing, this is Tabitha. She's a lonely girl, and then the rest of the village makes friends with her, and then she grows up and becomes a hag.
Well, also just like, hey, come with me, friends. We'll go to the forest and play with my mother.
Come round for tea with Granny.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. But it leads on quite nicely, because there's I'm sure you're aware of this as well, but there's been recently the I can't remember it now what it's called, Gothic lineages, where they had like the Dampier, the Reborn, and then the Hexblood, and they've actually outlined what it would be to be a Hexblood. So somebody who has been either in their past has been given the powers by a hag, or I mean, it doesn't talk about being birthed as a child of a hag, to be fair, but it could bring that up. And then this idea that towards the end of their path, the hag comes back, and then there isn't. It doesn't really say there's a choice, but they are then transformed into a hag. And then something like UA, it does say like, and they become an NPC, so a non-playable character. And I'm like, ooh, I don't like that as a thing. But that threat over your head that you have no control over that idea of like your fate is gonna catch up with you soon, and you have this destiny.
If your players are really up for it, it could be a really great storyline. It could be something that just keeps, and if they're happy to just let it do what it needs to do, you can just play that. It's sort of. I mean, it reminds me a bit of the. I'm used Critical Role because I think it's a lot of people watched it, but like the Raven Queen deal that the Vax makes. I don't want to. This is big spoilers if you haven't seen season 1.
It's been out for 4 or 5 years at this point. That campaign. So,
but that feeling when you're watching it and she's coming for him, and it's quite saddening and it's heartbreaking and that moment where like Sam tries to use the wish spell to try and.
That's so sad.
Oh my gosh, it gets you, but. It was, he flew into it and worked it really well, and it became a really interesting dilemma that he's dealing with, that he is going to die and he's going to be taken away, and I don't know, it just sort of made him a different character actually when he got that deal. I think made him change.
No, I agree. Yeah, I guess as long as you talk it through with the players, like why if they choose to be a Hexblood race, or even have like I was like almost like a cuckoo child in a way. I got replaced or something like that. Like, I mean, all these things are really cool story hooks and plots and stuff. But I think it's just double checking with them and making sure. But yeah, that would be such a cool thing. Yeah. So going on to sort of like the bargaining aspect of it. The one thing I really liked about this, I think, just off the bat, the idea that, again, this is in the sort of role-playing section of Hag. So when you obviously bargain with a Hag, obviously they want something, but might go a ways around it. But if you present them with like an object of power or something like that, they are like, what's that? And there's a line or two saying how they'll just grab it without asking, and like shake it, lick it, sniff it. And I was like,
see it, can't you? You can really. I love the description of it. It's really. really you do get them like from it. I know because there's lots in our minds of them, but that sort of that sort of feralness slightly comes out of them.
Yeah, I guess for me, like if somebody grabs something from me in a campaign, and maybe a less experienced version of myself would have gone, oh no, stab, and I wouldn't do that with a hag, put it that way. But I just like that idea. I guess building up that this is a creature of immense power. So if she snatched something from her, you better be like, okay,
you touch it. Yeah, that's fine.
You have a good long look at that. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And that, as you said, the sort of lick it, taste it sort of thing. Be really but that sort of really gives like real character to these, because there's that sort of bumbliness to them as well, which maybe is Englishness compression, but that sort of sense that you might believe you could get away with it. You could see how people could be duped and think, oh, this is just an old lady. She's just a bit crazy.
Yeah, a little bit eccentric.
Eccentric, and I don't know. Maybe if I can manipulate her. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's a bit, but.
Yeah, no, I no, definitely. Like again, it talks about like they like meddling in other people's lives, like busybodies, but with cruel intentions. So we all know people like that. So again, if they've disguised themselves as the old sort of woman who's like, oh, come look at my garden, quickly come in, past the gates, and you're like, okay, like because again, maybe it's a British thing. I don't know, or if it's I don't know if it happens in other cultures where there is a respect thing where you're like, oh, well, respect what they want and stuff like that. But just run away from hags is my go-to.
But I think it plays on two things, doesn't it? It plays on that like bit of respect for your elders, as well as that the opposite of it, where people believe if they're old, they're doddery, and that sort of like they're sort of that they're not as powerful. It's sort of that it sort of instills in you that sense of power over them, because they are supposedly weaker because they are looking elderly and stuff. And
but no, I think that's completely true. Like they subvert this sort of these assumptions about them, because it says like whilst they appear maybe like mad or eccentric, they actually are. They know exactly what they want, and they deliberately build up this disguise to the point even where they don't. If they are confronted by stuff, they won't resort to violence. Yeah. They'll keep going and insulting and stuff like that until really, really provoked, which I think is very interesting, because I think a lot of the time you think, oh, somebody would just fly into a rage, like the big bad or a villain or something. Hags will keep doing it, keep up this pretense, and then obviously use magic and stuff like that, but then always have a plan of escape as well. Because they're not, again, it's I don't know how you find this, but when we're running like encounters or in monsters, obviously the monsters, most monsters or villains, they are intelligent. They have a thing to it, and I think that's the other thing, is that hags, they may seem dottery or whatever, but they are so smart. And I just want to play more of them. Essentially, exactly. you get this from what I'm just repeating myself constantly now.
No, it's true. And actually, they did mention a rule of 3 thing, didn't they, about their escapes? They will have 3 ways to get out of anything. Yeah, they did mention that again. And it says in this as well that the reason they think they have this rule of 3 belief is because they've travelled the planes and noticed that the rule of 3 is a multiversal sort of constant, and so that's why they've brought it.
It's all connected, yeah. So Hamilton, I thought, because this next section, I was like, this is fun. Yes. We are going to make some characters. I'm sure you've seen this as well. So I thought we'd make like just an idea or a concept of a hag that we could put into our campaigns. So what I'm gonna, I know. I'm like, So I want to ask first, because there are actually there are 5 different kinds of hag, but there's actually another one in Eberron I found just like maybe half an hour ago, which we'll talk about. If I describe them to you, and then if you say which one you want to make, so use that as your basis of your character.
Fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, go for it.
I will. So we've got, and also I will do my preface now. If I pronounce these wrong, it's because it's wrong in the book. I don't know. So the first one is like an Anis hag. These are hags that live in mountains and hills, and they are tall, like ogres. And there's a great picture of them on D&D Beyond with like almost like a boulder for a shoulder, and like they are. Their skin's like sort of a bruised blue, and they have claws like rusty nails. And for them, I love this. They leave tokens of cruelty at the edges of forests, like turning like this vibrant community into a place paralyzed by fear. Because they'll see like like a Blair Witch doll or something like that, or stones have been turned around, and it's like, the hag is there. So that's sort of one of them. And then, again, the Annis one is they're definitely about corrupting children. They just love that, just that innocence sort of thing, which is really good.
They also have the totems of iron. Is that one?
Yes. So they can pull out one of their teeth or nails and polish it into a different form, so like a ring or a coin or a mirror, and then you can have a whispered conversation with them, provided that they're on the same plane of existence and within 10 miles of each other. Oh no!
No, thank you. Not up for that. No.
But I guess again, the limiting factor there is within 10 miles. But I still love the idea that suddenly they're like, "Woohoo!
Yeah.
How are you? Are you just come back into range?
Yes.
Can't ignore me." You know that.
The mayor of the town who's made the deal, just reminding him middle of the night, just thinking of you.
Just thinking of you. I'm outside your window. Like. Oh yeah,
so for dinner.
How was dinner? My child was excellent. I couldn't eat a whole one, etc., etc. So the second one, which I definitely get the name of wrong, is I think it's a Hag.
That sounds right. I think you've got to say
kind of
Scottish type. I'd say Scottish.
Yes, definitely. So these are hags that live in very wintry sort of mountain peaks and snow-covered ice caps. They are gaunt and they have proper blue-white skin and are pretty much emancipated, as if someone has starved to death. So again, you can imagine, if you imagine and again, all of these hags, they take the shape of a woman, but obviously gender is a construct, etc. But this idea of a very tall, femme-looking person, emancipated, like almost made of ice, essentially.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
They said that in one of them, wasn't it? They look like maybe a body that's just died in the frost and it's just come back to life.
Horrible.
Sort of frostburn. They've seen pictures of frostburn. You've seen that, and they get that. You get those like big, postulant black sores on fingers, and you can imagine all of that.
Yeah, just the imagery it conjures up is just, again, you just go, that's a hag. And again, but again, if you could imagine that, like as players just walking across like a snowy landscape and then meeting a hag going, it must be a snow zombie. Don't worry, I'll do it. Oh no, it is definitely not a snow zombie.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
So you have them, and then this. The one they have this thing called Awful to Behold. So when they're in the throes of combat and they've slain a foe, they will just forget to attack everything else and just go and eat on the corpse. Dismembering it, tearing meat from the bones. So again, is that very much like what's it called? Is it 30 Days of Night? The sort of horror film that's on an Antarctic base where it's vampires, but obviously for 30 days.
Oh, okay.
No, but again, that idea that there's just people it's in the dark and it's like,
yeah, like, oh no. I'm sorry, it's so rank. That's what's great about them. They're so just because
they're just monsters. I think that's the thing. It's just again, that when you were talking about that before, about that subverting this sort of like this opinion, like, they're lovely old grandmothers or aunties, and you're like, no, they are monsters with twisted and evil, and just So those are the Bur hags or Bur hags, and then I think these the next ones are green hags. I think they're more traditional in the sense. I think I've seen them the most. So these are hags that inhabit sort of forests and swamps and moors. These ones, regardless of what their body shape or type is, they always have matted hair on top of their heads, like almost like bird nests and stuff. So this is definitely, if you're thinking of like Baba Yaga style, this is the kind of typical Baba Yaga I think you would think of. They're definitely into their illusions and stuff. So they will make sure they will look like another creature of their size. It's just this idea of they can turn invisible until they attack a spell and stuff. So the idea that they can look like someone and then obviously be found out and then just disappear and then attack is just all in one. It's a lot, right?
100%. And they that's the ones you sort of get. That is your classic hag, isn't it? That's the one you find in
classic hag.
Your classic hag. And that was reminding me of that Witcher one where they had the hags. They appear as like they were like three sort of beautiful like ladies in this portrait, and then when they came out, they're these sort of like hulking masses, and they were really great artwork actually for them. I remember that. Perfect.
Oh, so that's pretty cool.
See one of those. That's another way to look at them. But yeah,
I'll definitely. Oh, and the other thing I did want to mention is that they lure victims by mimicking voices calling out for help.
Oh yes.
So again, that idea that you're attracting, like you're in the middle of the forest and you just hear like help me, and then go and see a woman who's fallen over or like trapped somewhere.
You ever heard a goat bleating in the night? It sounds like a human screaming. It's the do you not know this?
No.
So I think this is where it sort of relates to. So going back to Morocco, I went to Morocco and they had this stayed at this a place where they had like a goat farm, and in the middle of the night you just hear this. Ow! And it sounds like I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you know, and it just like it sounds like like pain, like someone's screaming in pain, like they're being tortured, and you hear it all night, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and then it was like at this, and someone said, that's just goats. That's what the sound goats make. And I'm like, what the fuck is up with goats? There's something seriously wrong.
That's terrifying. Like because I know you lived in London as well. Like obviously we have foxes around here that scream and stuff like that, but I can imagine actually goats. There's various videos of goats screaming and stuff on YouTube, but yeah, in the middle of the night, if you're just suddenly like, what the heck?
You're in the middle of the desert as well, and you're just like just hearing this noise going on. It's quite disconcerting. That's all. Google it. Listen to it on YouTube. Yeah, enjoy yourself.
Google it. We're not going to talk about it anymore. And then you have night hags, which they are again another. Not more common, but they're quite interesting because they are sort of definitely more entied with the with devils and stuff, and there's that sort of demonic. Oh, my words are gone, Hamilton. That's what's happened there. But they've deliberately made a choice to leave the Feywild behind and go to the lower planes, and so they're gonna have like dark blue and blackish coloured skin with sort of white eyes and curving horns. They enjoy corrupting the dreams of good people. Like I love that idea, like that you have a dream or like a want to do the best thing, and you just break it slowly but surely, and just break them down is great.
They're super evil. They're just a different level of.
I guess like I don't know. Again, all these creatures are evil, but I think the green hags seem like the very traditional. Like this is one you're going to run into. The night hags, though, I think they're literally on a different level of existence, but there is something about them. They have they're very interesting. They have two magic items they carry. There's like the Heartstone, which cures any disease, and they have it in their possession, but they also have a soul bag, which is made out of flesh of some sort, and if they kill someone, they capture the soul in the bag, like a handbag essentially, and then take it down to the lower planes.
I'm just imagining now, those little what they called the check bags. Those little check bags that grannies always have going down to the shops. But having that, but the check is made out of two different types of skin, but they're just wheeling it along just in the background. So they are like a soul monger. So if anyone's ever read Tomb of Annihilation, that sort of thing, it's that sort of thing that they can just capture it and have it in there. They can also they can magically enter the ethereal plane, and so that's it as well. They can go on. They infiltrate people's dreams. That's it. Nightmare haunting. So they can. Again, I've definitely seen like a painting of this where they sit atop of a person in the ethereal plane and then touch them, and then they said they have dreadful visions and they can last for an hour, but they benefit from no rest, and the hit point maximum is reduced. And if they reduce, they die. So that idea that you can't sleep because you're having these horrible nightmares because a witch is sitting on you, just like going, think bad thoughts from the ethereal plane. But again, that I can see that happening. Like if you are at a party and every time you have a long rest at night, no one really gets the chance to sleep, and you're like, what is going on? And because again, she's in the ethereal plane, you can't necessarily see her at all. So I just like that somebody tracking you through as you're going through like a forest or something like that. So they're the worst one. I don't
like
them.
I think they're interesting. I don't think they're the worst one, because I think the worst one is sea hags.
Yeah, this one I want to be.
These underwater sort of sea witches, essentially. They have pale skin like a fish, covered in scales, glassy dead eyes, and hair like lank seaweed. Again, sort of emancipated but large bone, and they really hate beauty in any form. So if there's a statue in the town, they will break it apart. They are, I think, more prone to violence out of all of them. But they have this thing called horrific appearance. So that if anyone sees their true form, they've got to make a wisdom saving throw or be frightened for a minute. So again, just like you're like, oh, gasp, like Ariel, like that's.
And the other thing they could do is make a mimic of your body, but out of like seaweed and like wreckage and stuff like that, and sort of barnacles. And so you get this sort of like they'll use that to fight against you. This sort of barnacle version of yourself, which is pretty cool.
That's a lair action they get to do, where it's like once per turn. But that idea that you make like a simulacrum, which is a word I can never say, but out of barnacles and seaweed, and it's just attacking you, and then it disappears after a round. But horrible. And then sea hags also have this other thing, is that you can target a frightened creature, so presumably after you've failed the horrific appearance, and it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw. It's quite low, it's only 11, but if you don't succeed, you drop to 0 hit points. It's just a death glare. I think they're badass, but they are horrible. So out of those 5, Hamilton, which one would you want to have in your campaign? Sea hag.
Yeah, I like the sea hag. I quite like it. I think the other ones, like, I mean, because I want to do something different as well. If I was going to do a hag, I'd like to try and go a little bit off what they know. I quite like the other 2 that came with us, which is the Anis and the Burr ones, are the ones that are Volo's specials.
Yes.
And I do think they're both quite cool, and I was quite keen on them both. But I think the sea hag, I really just like that idea, and I just saw this like, the travellers are like, maybe you're on a boat, they wash up on shore against some rocks, and they're sort of like camping for the night. Suddenly there's a creaking sound. And suddenly it's just like, hello, and there's just like barnacled hand just comes into the firelight, and it's just like, want to make a deal, I know where to get away from here, and all that stuff, and and then suddenly, I don't know, I just think that'd be quite fun, because I could just imagine them living on this island that they, like a siren, pull them onto the rocks, but not just to see them die in the rocks, they pull them onto the island to then, maybe she like stays there, just leaves them alone, and then there's no food to eat, and there's nothing to drink, and she keeps coming with food for them, and I don't know.
A prisoner.
Exactly. Exactly. And sort of like that's how she captures these people and gets them to make these deals. Maybe lets them free once they've made a deal. But only to set off their own chaos in wherever they're going, so she can sort of influence the world from this little forbidden island. I don't know.
No, I do like that. Speaking of that, again, thinking of like the image of a sea hag as well, I'm thinking like having like an anglerfish type light in front of her with the eyes going everywhere like a fish.
Yes. Oh yes, I like that with the sort of fish eyes as well. Like oh my gosh.
Yeah, all around, like looking at different directions, but never necessarily straight at you, because they can't see in front.
And then when she walks away into the darkness, you just see this light occasionally in the woods of the jungle, sort of just like moving around. You're like, she's there. She's like just there. sort of.
So we've got a good idea of what sea hag is going to be, but I think what we can do.
Let's choose. Have you chosen one?
What would I choose?
Yeah.
Ooh, I would I think I would go for what are they called? A night hag. Okay. I love this idea of having, because you mentioned that the idea of a Czech sort of like push trolley thing.
Yes.
I love that as an idea, and like maybe having the Czech, it is woven different bits of tanned skin, like leather over and over and stuff, like really finely thing. It's like I always think those people who have trolleys like that are very proud of them. So like, I can move everything around. So.
Yes, exactly. It's very much, and to be honest, they look very useful when you go shopping. To be honest.
So, I envy those people a lot. So not when I'm on the bus, but when I'm around going. Really good thing. Yeah. But all right, well let's start. Let's go from the top. So we've got obviously personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws.
Yeah. Right.
So for you, Hamilton, can you roll a d8 for this personality traits?
I'm going to do this the internet style, because I normally am, unless I can run. I'm going to run and get my dice. D8, you say? Okay.
A d8 for personality. Yes.
Right. I'm going to use blue dice. I'm going to use blue dice because it's
blue dice for sea hags.
There you go. Right. 2.
A 2. Oh, I think this works really well for your one. So, the personality trait is I always act unpleasant, so others never learn of my secret affections.
Oh, okay, yes, I like that. Okay, cool.
Because that idea that maybe again attracted to sailors or people who are seafaring, and then you're like, I hate you.
Yes.
But also I love you.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of like, I so want to play this now. I'm gonna have to bring it into a campaign.
Well, that's it, and that's what I love about these
Maybe
things.
They
these monsters
became a hag because they were cast ashore when they were a pirate lover, and the pirate lover sort of chucked them overboard because that was it, I know he was an evil person, and then like now hates all sailors, but secretly still like wants to find her pirate lover.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the jilted love affair, absolutely.
And Faye, but I guess the sort of.
Well, no, but hags. There's again back in Volos, they talk about they can over centuries because they live for a very very long time. They can metamorphosis to other kinds of hags. Okay. So maybe this hag used to be like a green hag or something like that, or grew up as a child of a hag or a hexblood or something like that, and then went and sorted away, transformed and stuff like that.
Exactly. So. Oh, okay. I like this. Oh, I like this. Or took a deal with a hag to become a hag. So maybe like to become beautiful. And then maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what happened. Okay. Anyway, I love this. Yeah, it's cool. Right. Are you going to do this as well? Or
I'm going to do this as well. Yeah. So I'm going to roll my dice now. That's a 6 for me. Okay. So I offer generous terms in my deals, but the cost for defaulting is exceedingly high.
Okay.
So that idea that I guess it's like giving a full service, but if at any point they're like, oh, it's fine. She won't mind if we're a day late or something like that. Yes. It's like. No, full return. And actually, we didn't mention as well the idea of mounts and stuff. So obviously,
I love the mounts.
Yeah. So there's the talk about like obviously most people in fantasy games obviously will have like a horse or an ox or something to drive them through. Hags have something similar. They can have pigs or giant ravens or a stoat or something like that. Giant versions of that. But there was the talk about having heroes who default early on the purpose. They have to be a mount for a hag for a year or something like that, which I love.
I think that's what you've got. I think that's what's happened to one of your
1000%.
Yeah,
a pig. I definitely love the idea of like a big. Like I don't know if you've seen Spirited Away at all.
Yes.
But this. Yeah, so the studio Ghibli, sort of that idea of like, I can't even remember what her name is now, the woman that runs the bathhouse, but that's who I have in my head, and having these creatures.
Isn't she as well? Actually, I guess,
Exactly, yeah. So I like that. All right, so the next up for you is ideals. So if you roll me a d6 for me, please.
D6. A 3.
A 3. Oh, perfect. Greed. I require the rarest and most valuable holy treasures to keep them from being used for good.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'm up for that. Yeah, 100%. So when I get the paladin, I'll try it. The first thing I'm going to ask for is that Holy Avenger Sword. Yeah, that's mine.
Absolutely. And I guess because a lot, again, depending on your campaigns and stuff, lots of sailing ships and stuff do have lots of imagery about believing in gods and stuff to get safe travel and stuff. So that idea is like, I want these deity images and stuff.
Yeah, maybe just all their like trinkets, their lucky charms. I like as much as the most expensive thing. So if there's something that's like their lucky coin, I will know what it is and be like, I want your coin, please. And then, and it doesn't have any monetary value, but it means so much to them. And then all their luck goes basically because they've given it to me.
Yeah, because it says rarest and most valuable. But I think I like that interpretation of the most valuable to you.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be monetary value. I definitely, I like that because it's the protection comes from you believing in it and you taking it away from you. Yeah. Oh, I like that. All right, so I'll roll for mine.
Yeah, go on.
It's a 2. 2 is community. Loneliness is the path to madness. That is why I have minions to keep me company.
Makes sense. You've just made your minions by they all defaulting, so you're like.
I've got all these horses, all these chickens.
Yeah, exactly. Or your modrons. You can have your modrons. So going back.
Oh my god! Yes, 1000%.
Modrons.
Night Hag and the modrons. That's like a Harry Potter book in itself,
isn't it?
All right. So for you, a D8 for Hag Bonds.
Hag Bonds, D8. 2. A 2.
2. Ooh, I like this one. I am involved in a centuries-long feud with a rival of similar power and status.
Agnes across the river.
Yeah.
She's got a lighthouse and everything.
That witch.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm gonna build my own lighthouse. I've got one on my head though, so I don't need one. But
you do. Yeah. But again, there's something about bonds that instantly create. You have a rival or a family member or something like that. It's so even if they don't necessarily exist, being able to play off that that the feud rival is done. It's even if it's something so simple, like you're jealous she has a lighthouse.
Exactly, I'm definitely jealous about that bloody lighthouse. It goes on about it every time we chat. So what's your one then?
All right, I'll have a look. I'll see. I also got a 2, so I'll re-roll this because that's 2 2s. That's 2 2s.
Oh dear, wants you to have it.
A 7. So my greatest rival and I know a secret word that will destroy us both simultaneously.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. That idea that you have again is that power over someone else, but they have the same power over you, and they have to. That sort of trust thing is just I quite like that. I don't know what the word would be though. Maybe it's one of those things where you never say what the word is until the end of the campaign, and it's something it's something stupid that could easily come up in conversation.
Well, it's like that Rumpelstiltskin sort of thing, which is quite similarly sort of vain as well. That sort of know their name, and that's how you lose their power. Is that sort of that could be a whole thing that your party are trying to do, and maybe they go find this other hag and sort of get them to try and sort of try and manipulate the other hag into saying what the word might be or something because they don't know them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I love that idea of because there's that whole thing in fairy tales about naming something, and then if you have power over it, naming a hag, that because again that idea that they are part of the Feywild but not having that sort of concordance that they have to be cordial with you because they've used the name, but it only works once or something like that.
Yeah.
So we finished off that. So hag flaws then. So for you is a D6.
D6. 3.
A 3.
Oh, yes.
Ooh. Yeah, I have an allergy to a creature such as a cat or a raven or a substance.
Yeah. It's easy. Or a shellfish allergy. That's it.
But, or a substance that is important to my work. Ooh, yes. So you could have almost maybe you have rotten velvet gloves or something like that, or you have to get people to do it for you. Oh,
could you get? Yeah, exactly. They make the barnacle version of it, but it comes close to me. I'm like, excuse me. Yeah.
Oh, the shellfish allergy as a sea hag. I love that as a concept. Yeah. It's very much. Yeah, I can imagine. Therefore, you going would you kindly? Very Bioshock. It's would you kindly just pick up that shellfish for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. I love that. All right.
Could you get it for me, please?
All right.
Sling it over at Agnes. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Fling it over. Get that witch. Honestly. All right. So for me, my flaw is a 4. Ooh. I will not tell a lie, but I can still say nothing, nod suggestively, or bend the truth a little to suit my needs. I like that. Again, maybe because I don't know how you find it, Hamilton, but sometimes when the players are asking all these questions, and I'm I have no answers to them. So at least I can hide behind this. Go, maybe.
But also, it kind of goes with you're quite generous, so that might be why you're generous, because it's quite hard for you to manage it. But then you subtly allow that sort of when they go against you. That's where you can put in your if you do default, then I will basically kill you or use you as a mount, but you won't, will you? Sort of thing. So you can be honest in that scenario, I guess, sort of thing.
Yeah, the brutal honesty of it. Yeah, I quite like that. Well, then, just to round us off then, of course, the most important part of any hag is coming up with a name. So for this, you've got to roll a d12 3 times. So we'll do it one bit at a time for each of us. So the first and most important part is getting a title, and then the first name and the last name. And some of these are absolute crackers. I can't wait.
Agnes is on there, actually.
Agnes is on there.
Okay. Who's going first? You go first?
You go first.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. Okay. 10. Rotten.
10. Rotten.
Yes.
I love it.
It works.
That does work. I did notice that number 6 is driftwood. So I thought, that would be amazing if you got that.
I quite like turtleback.
Oh gosh, turtleback's quite a good one as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, with all these things, we could easily just pick them as well, but there's something fun about.
No, it's more fun to roll randomly.
Well, yeah, I guess because obviously with Dragon Duel as well, there's a lot of rolling and stuff as well. So
yeah, I like
it all works out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So for me, is it number 4? So Dismal.
Yes.
Yep, I'll take that. I will take that. Dismal is my title.
Okay.
Go for it for your first name.
Oh, 1. Agatha. Agatha and Agnes.
So what was it? Rotten Agatha.
Rotten Agatha.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so my first name is an 8. So Peggy. So I'm Dismal Peggy. Amazing. All right, go on. Last name then.
Last name. 12.
Yeah, Worm Wiggle.
Yes. Rotten
So
Agatha Worm Wiggle.
That's great. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I like that as well. It's good. I like
Rotten
that. Cool.
Worm Wiggle. All right, and then finally for me, I also got 12. I will roll again because we can't have 2. Oh, I go straight for 1. So that's Bone Chewer.
Nice.
So
Yes.
Dismal Peggy. Sorry, Bone Chewer. That's my character.
Yes.
Bone Chewer. What a great name.
That's great. Okay, I'm going to give... So to just choose one, I'm going to say that it's Turtleback, Agnes, Gristlegums is my...
Your rival.
Is my rival. There you go. Just give it one. Yeah.
I love it. And then I guess, because I also have a rival as well,
Yes,
I'll go for Dread Sally... Oh, Dread Sally Toe Stealer.
Yes. He always steals those toes I'm trying to bone chew.
Like, come on! They're my favourite part!
Exactly.
Well, that is it. That is only like a brief glimpse into what hags are. We didn't really get to covens in the end, but essentially with covens, we'll quickly do it now. Sometimes with this, we've talked about this idea of the power of 3, and sometimes hags will come together, and there'll be 3 of them to sort of gain more power and stuff like that. Usually it is like a grandmother and 2 aunties in that respect, and maybe they are related to the grandmother or not, but they are able to basically come as almost like an encounter in a way that they could be around a certain aspect. So they could be like a death coven or a nature coven, etc., for whatever their needs are, and then get access to certain spells. And again, it's that sort of thing where it makes sense in a way if hags, whilst they're not necessarily whilst hags are sort of antisocial creatures at the best of times, obviously there is power in numbers. So if you go into the coven lair of a hag, you're not fighting against one of these creatures, you're fighting against 3 of them. And that will be fun. Yeah, can you imagine that? Yes, 3 sea hags with the ability to create doppelganger-esques of yourselves. And having that, and then like for me, like having 3 night hags with the ability to steal souls and almost suffocate you in your dreams.
Yes,
like
pretty. And that will get rid of that action economy. That's what I was looking for. If you got 3 of them as well, that's the thing. Yeah. So, but I think if you'll get some really high level players as well, when you're always it's always hard sometimes to find good encounters for when you get to those sort of plus 10, getting on to 15 and then even higher. A coven of hags is a good shout for something for high level players to dip their toes in.
Yeah, it's definitely. I consider it like you've got this plot hooks or story hooks there, and then eventually they follow the trail of breadcrumbs or bits of missing children. I don't know, and you get there and you're like, oh, we should not have come here. It's that sort of like, and certainly in the Volo's book as well. There's like there's always beautiful drawings in these books, but there's definitely ones of the different kinds of lairs you can have. So there's one inside a tree, there's one inside a big skull, one, and you're like, these are all terrifying as a thing. So yeah, we've barely scratched the surface in this, but there's so much to them. Like if you were going to, obviously with your newfound creation of your hag, what off the top of your head, what kind of encounter, what kind of story would you put them in? Or
I think as I said, it's that I think the ship's gonna crash on, like the party's ship's going somewhere, but it's stormy and they hit this random just storm and it pushes them over. There's no way. There's like the power is overwhelming, and they're battered between these two islands maybe. And there's one with a lighthouse and there's one without, and they get pushed onto shore. There's no food. There's no water. Everything's been taken by the sea. But there's this little old lady who comes and meets them in the night and is gonna start asking them if they want some help, and she'll do it for some treasure in return or other things that they wish to give up. And we'll do that. I've definitely realised that it's definitely almost like a Gollum-esque kind of character that you sort of come up with, that sort of like and snatches it and runs away and exactly, it's like licking it. Yeah. I hope your hag always licks and smells, even like yes. And then he gives it back, and it's just like
it's covered in a slime of some sort. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
It smells like rotten fish. Everything that she touches, just like can't get rid of it. Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, you definitely get that with that sort of visceral sort of like the sea spray in their head. It's almost like
exactly, like 100% that sort of matted, just completely like out there beach hair, but gone completely wrong. Yeah.
Oh my god! But you see, now you said beach hair. Now I'm just thinking like get beach body ready with your sea hag, but it's just like
wearing a very skimpy bikini sort of thing on top of it, just to make that just more of a visual. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for me, for like having my night hags again, I like that idea that people aren't getting enough sleep. And they are slowly, like, people are dying off through sleep deprivation, but there's just like, we don't know what it is. There's just, I don't know. And then, that does feel like a higher level encounter, because it would need someone who can see into the ethereal plane or be able to spot these things. Like, but yeah, I just love that idea that it's something that it seems almost mundane that people aren't getting enough sleep, but people are dying, so there must be something wrong. And then just like, oh my god, it is a night hag. Just like, oh yeah. But yeah, like I said, we've barely scratched the surface, and we've been talking for an hour on this. So hags are great.
They're also completely awfully evil, but no, they are great. They are so such a good. I think that I've, as I said, I haven't used one myself, but I've played against them. But it makes me want to put one in for sure. I think I might even put one in the finales now. I think one of the groups is just going to end up on that seabed.
Do it.
It's happening.
That sounds amazing. Well, again, thank you, Hamilton, so much for joining me in my hag appreciation. This is a hag appreciation host.
There we go. That's our new. Is that the title of the episode? The hag appreciation.
Yeah, we'll change. Yes, hag appreciation. That is exactly what the title of the episode is going to be, for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, do I have to host us out, or can you host us out?
I mean, would you like to host us out? I'll give you the option.
No, you do it. You do it. You take it.
I will. Well, Hamilton, what are you up to, my friend? What projects have you got going on? Tell us how are you, my friend?
I'm fine. Yes. What have I got going on? I've got, as you might have heard on our previous episode, I'm doing some Dragon's Duel. We would have easily now finished our season 2. We might now be in the middle of our grand finales, where we take the 21 characters we've made over those 7 episodes and put them into 3 different one-shots where they all have a different theme that sort of overall all relates to one. I'm not going to give away too much, but there's going to be
no.
They've all got a different setting they need to go through, but it's going to be overpowered, they're going to be underleveled, and therefore we're going to have to try and kill them off. We have to ferret down 21 characters into, I'm hoping, 5 or 6, depending on how well they do, who then go through into the grand finale, which will be very much PvP. Last time we had like a speed run thing with like traps on it, and they had 2 teams running to the either side. We had like a head-to-head sort of like paintball sort of game where you're sort of like you've got to get from one side, capture the flag sort of thing.
Cool.
And then leading into, hopefully at the end, where we have just 2 players. And last time we turned them into dragons, level 20 dragons, and they fought each other for the title of the season. And that's basically just what we do. And that's where we are. And then soon after that, we might have a City of Mist campaign with another person on this show. That's not me.
What?
Exactly.
What? Yes, as we sort of alluded to last time, I've never played City of Mist, but I've been super excited by basically all the world building that you've been doing, all the stuff that we've come up with. So it is. I'm very excited by it. I think City of Mist, again, it's as a role playing game. Again, it's very much I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the one who sort of read it all, but it feels very film noir. There is mystery. There's all these sort of bits and pieces together, but it is what the players make of it. You follow the leads. You are there's not so much like here is the big bad roll hit and stuff like that. There's definitely more collaborative style to it, which I'm very excited to see.
No, I'm loving that as well. It's been really great working with all the lovely people, including yourself, on it, and just making these characters and sort of forming the story with you and how it works. Our evil developers, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, which are going to be great. So
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Really fun.
And just to sign us off, so my name is Fiona. I run the What Am I Rolling podcast, which is a twice monthly RPG one-shot podcast. Hamilton, do you want to know how it's going?
I was going to ask you, how's it going?
It's going fine. It's going well. Yeah, we're doing very well. Bits and pieces are still coming out, and we've got Bluebeard's Bride, we've got the Warhammer one, we've got a sci-fi one called Vert coming out. I don't know if you ever read Vert by Paul Noon. It's essentially like train spotting with drugs, but in Manchester and cyberpunk. Totally crazy. I played a cyber dog, and it was amazing.
Amazing. That sounds really. Was it called K9?
No. She was called Harriet Goodgirl, but I played her like K9. Okay. So that was my thing. But yeah, really good, really interesting. Harriet Goodgirl. And because I forgot to do it last time, but I'll do it again for this. We also have for the DM's Book Club, we have a offer code off at Third Space Gaming in Burnley. It's your friendly local game store. So you can type in the code DMBC on their website and get 10% off your first order, and that can be on role-playing books, that could be on terrain, could be on Warhammer, if you're back into Warhammer at all.
I do buy some of it, but I if I get too much into it, I'll have no money left, so I just keep it very, very tight on what I buy.
Special things. Well, brilliant. And thank you so much, Hamilton. This has been an absolute pleasure of your time.
Same.
Sorry, of our time, I meant to say, but your time. It's a pleasure to hang out with me. That's what.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you, and I'm so grateful. No, I am seriously. It's been absolutely great. And
I love the fact we're now just playing our hag characters back and forth now, just insulting each other across the big body of water. That's what's happened here.
For quite a while, but it's all right. I'm joking. No, it was.
It's true.
No, it wasn't. 100%. I'm not even that sort of person. It's so hard to even do it. But yes, no. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute honour and great to do this as a stream with you, and hopefully we can do more stuff. It's been absolutely fantastic.
I would absolutely love that. So we will definitely consider that. But until next time, dear listeners, thank you for listening. And as you said last time, love you. Bye.
Amazing.